All right, hey guys, doing today? About to hop into a review of Proverbs chapter 19, the first or 20. My bad. Proverbs chapter 20. The first things first, though. Make sure you like that video. Hit a like, exit full screen, scroll a bit, like it, and then full screen it back up. You feel me? Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. So the main points that he went on to talk about this verse for like 10 minutes straight, right? So first thing he wants you to know is that all wisdom that we could possibly talk about and that we could possibly think we have and all that fun stuff goes out the window when alcohol is brought into the mix, right? Wine is a mocker. It mocks you. It really sits there as you're drinking it like, you think you're gonna drink this and not get affected? You think you're gonna drink this and still have the same, everything about yourself? Nah, nah, I'm gonna mock you, right? Does that. He mentioned strong drink is translated more so as like beer or something like that. Strong drink, intoxicating drink, really anything, right? At least to brawls, brawler, right? It just leads to them fights, raging, right? Anger, all that stuff, malice, content, all that stuff, or contempt, all that stuff we're told to put away, right? And if you're deceived by this alcohol, right? If you get succumb to this, right? We're told to be sober minded. If you succumb to this, it's not wise, right? Because it's literally poison. The body registers it as poison. That doesn't mean, right, you can't drink, so to speak, right? We have the liberty to be able to drink, but you don't have the liberty to get drunk, right? To alter the state of your mind with this. And to that same extent, he said we have the liberty to do so, right? But we're told in Romans not to cause our brother to stumble with whatever we eat or drink, right? And I don't even think it goes that far, or I don't even think it stops there, right? I would argue that it goes further than that, right? Because he mentioned people be on Facebook and they post it up with their wine or their champagne on New Year's or something like that, and it could cause somebody else to stumble, and that's not wise. It's not nice. It's not advisable to be posting that type of stuff online, knowing that people can see it, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of that. Right on my 21st birthday, which happened 4 days ago, right on Sunday. I posted on my private story, right? It's still a private story, but a story nonetheless, where there are people that are gonna see it, right? I posted myself taking a shot directly at 12 o'clock, right? And that could have caused somebody to stumble. However, I'll say with this age group, Facebook is a different case where you probably got more Christians, probably part of a church group or something like that, and it's more likely. I'm not saying that, there's no reformed alcoholics on my page or whatever the case may be on Snapchat, right? This is on Snapchat too, and not even Facebook for real. But like, I might have caused somebody to do something a little unwise, and without that, that's not where I have liberty. The liberty is, yes, I just turned 21. I'm allowed to now access my right to drink, right? I'm allowed to do that. However, it's still not advisable to be posting about it. And he went on for even longer about this verse, but that's really all I have to say on it, right? It's just kind of like, don't be deceived in that sense, right? Your body treats alcohol as poison. It literally tries to filter it out, and through filtering it out, it causes effects, right? But all it's trying to do is filter that alcohol out. You're putting poison in your body, it doesn't want it in there, it tries to get it out as fast as possible. With that, it also just leads to bad stuff, health conditions, bad consequences, bad choices, all that kind of stuff. So it's just best to kind of stay away from it. The fear of a king is as the roaring of a lion. Who provokes him to anger sins against his own soul. And I say it's mostly like sin against your own soul, right? You're going against yourself, right? Why are you going to get the king mad? Why are you going to get the guy with all the power mad? He can send a hit on you if he wants. Think about like Kim Jong-un. Imagine getting him mad and you live in North Korea. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Come on now. It's like you're going against your own personal life. You want yourself dead, essentially. It's an honor for a man to cease from strife, but every fool will be meddling, right? And strife can be like contention, right? Disagreements, all that kind of stuff. We can look at another translation. It's an honor to man to stop striving for badness, right? Avoiding a fight is the mark of honor. It's an honor for a man to keep aloof from strife. It's an honor for a man to keep away from strife by handling situations with thoughtful foresight. I like that. But any fool will start a quarrel for without regard of the consequences, right? And that's really all it is. And I was just talking with people about this today. I'm like, blah 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 blah, these people doing this, these people doing that, and not in like a bad sense. It was just kind of like, I'm talking about, the different situations that are going on around me, and it's like I can walk away from these situations every single time, but I'm a fool because I stick around them, right? But some of them are unavoidable, right? Some things you can't get away from, but you could definitely limit what you have access to, for sure. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold, therefore he shall beg and harvest and have nothing. And I remember he did bring up this verse more so for the word of sluggard, how we don't use it, and it could be seen as offensive today. But it's basically just reinstating the fact, don't be lazy, right? The sluggard doesn't plow in the autumn, and he'll have nothing at harvest, right? He doesn't plow when the winter planting season arrives, but he begs at the harvest when it has nothing to reap, right? So when you have this opportunity, when opportunity presents itself, you have to take it, right? Take it in the Lord, right? First up, take it up with God, right? But then if you see that there's an opportunity to like grow spiritually or something XYZ, and you see you can glorify God at the same time, it's best to jump on that, right? It's not best to just let it blow by. You need it, right? To some extent, right? It is for spiritual healing, spiritual strengthening. It's best to just hop on that opportunity, right? If you don't know and you can't trust God enough to like wait for the answer in that moment, like you can hit a quick prayer, but nonetheless, it's kind of an instantaneous thing that maybe God sent to you, or maybe it's a test. Regardless, you can still jump on it, and then if you decide after the fact that it's not really the best thing that's worthwhile or whatever, you can always let it go. You can always let it go. You can always fall down and get back up. But sometimes you have to take that chance of, I don't know if this is good for God or not, and then you do it, and then you're like, oh shoot, God, I'm sorry, this was not good for you, and I couldn't see that in the moment. Maybe you were testing me, right? But I feel like everything is pretty cut and dry. If you're trusting God all the time, you know whether what you've been praying for is going to come to fruition. You know all this type of stuff that's going to happen to you, if it's from the Lord or if it's not. And you definitely know if it's going to relate to him or not. You just think about, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus hop on this opportunity to make $100,000,000 a year doing like life insurance? Most likely not, right? But would Jesus jump on the opportunity to help somebody, and that somebody just so happens to be like one of the richest men of the planet? It was like, if you help me, I'll give you $100,000. You're like, yeah, I'll help you, but like, bro, you don't gotta be doing all that. You know what I'm saying? You still take that 100,000. You still take that. You still take that money. That money, need it, right? Even though we shouldn't, but that's the way the world works. Anyway, counsel in the heart of a man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. So the wisdom of the heart of a man is like deep water. You don't really know what's down there. You can't really seek true intentions out too much like that. Everybody's good at very well. In this day and age especially, right? People only portray what they want to online, more so in person, right? They got to keep up with what they put out online, so they're concealing their true selves and their true intentions and their true emotions down in that deep water, right? Humans have been to the bottom of the ocean. In fact, we can't even withstand the pressure, so much so that we can't even withstand the pressure of our own hearts, right? We see all these dangerous crimes that people commit, these gruesome crimes, these dirty crimes. I just read about this story on this news thing that was like, this dude was doing some stuff to this disabled person, and it was the daughter of his wife, right? He wasn't the dad of the disabled person, but he married into this family and was doing stuff with the dude, the girl. I don't really remember the specifics. The girl, and she's 30, but with the mental handicapness of an 8-year-old and the physical handicapness of an 8-year-old as well. He's doing stuff to her, right? You think off the good, right? He's taking her to appointments. He's paying for some of the appointments and all that, helping out with the seizures and all that stuff. You think, yo, this is a good dude. He came into my life, made me feel special, made my daughter feel special. But you don't know what they doing deep down. All of them intentions are hidden, bro. All of that, all of that. But a man of understanding, it's not only like you're gonna bring it out, but you can sense it in a sense, right? A plan or all this is a man like deep water in a deep well, but a man of understanding draws it out. Some of this stuff you can't even get to it, right? You need is this deep down, but you can't get to it, right? But we don't know what's down there. But with God, we can bring it out. Help it shine. Any other metaphor you want to use? Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man, who can find it? And he said this is a good verse for anybody, right? For anybody, right? Whether you're a man with friends or you're a woman looking for a man, right? Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness. He's going to tell everybody how good of a dude he is, how good of a situation he's got, how, everything that's right, right? Why would he talk about the bad stuff? You're out here pitching yourself to people, to these women, to these friends, to these business people. You're pitching yourself out. You're going to sing all your praises, right? That's the point of a resume and a cover letter. Yo, peep all this stuff I done did. Yo, I'm going to write you about how this stuff I did applies to the job. Yo, I'm going to do this. And get to the interview, they ask you, what's your biggest weakness? Oh, I'm a perfectionist. I just try too hard. I care too hard and I work too much. And I just want to give my best all the time. And it's exhausting. Like, shut up. Be honest. You know you be showing up late to work. You know you can't keep your time schedule organized. I don't mean you don't work hard, but you know your schedule ain't working. You know your calendar ain't calendaring. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's gonna sing their praises, right? But the faithfulness of a man, who can find a faithful man, right? And that's what Proverbs talking about, with that brother who's gonna stick with you more than a friend does, right? Everybody can be there when it's good times. Who's gonna be there when it's bad times, right? Everybody can say, "Yo, man, I'm down for you no more. 10 toes down. I never fold, bro. Mud is thicker than blood, bro. Yo, I'm with you to the death. I ain't snitching. I ain't nothing. I'll never tell." And then you get in that jam, and then guess who's telling on you? One. Guess who's not 10 toes and folding? Guess who's 10 toes are running away from you right now? You know what I'm saying? It's everybody can be around there when it's good stuff, but who's gonna be there when it's bad? It's gonna be faithful to you, right? Who's gonna be faithful besides God? He's faithful to us because he can't deny himself. I still love that verse. This is beautiful. He can't deny us because he can't deny himself. All right, that's gonna be the end of the video. Hope you guys have yourself a fantastic rest of your day.